Greetings one and all, my name is Sporkinator. This is going to be a product tour of BZConfig 9000, or simply put, the Battlezone Configuration Utility I made. However, before we actually take a look at that, we have to look at the original that my utility is based on. This was made by Christian Leinen back in, oh I clicked the wrong button. When the help's incompatible with Windows 7, so there's all the more reason for my utility to exist, although I just found out about this today, as I haven't messed with this in a while. Yeah, back in 1999, this guy made this thing, so not too long after Battlezone's release, we could easily configure our render.cfg settings and even launch missions with this little drop-down menu. So I decided that this wasn't good enough, and back when I started making this project, it was just for fun, and to change it to the Battlezone color scheme of green and black. So here we have it. Now when you download it, it should be working by default, but just in case, let's suppose it doesn't know where you've installed Red Odyssey. You're going to want to browse to wherever your Red Odyssey is located. Mine's on my E drive, Red Odyssey 1.3, and there's my odyssey.exe, and if you see these folders that are labeled hacks, that was me back when I was making the no CD hack for the Red Odyssey, which turned out to be a huge success, and I'm not even sure how I did it. It was a little bit of trial and error and just messing around. But anyway, back on subject. This is the original Battlezone and Red Odyssey configuration utility, and in the background here I've got like the source code open just for fun. It was made in GameMaker 6.0 originally, ported up to 7.0 to make it work on Vista, and 8.0 allows more detailed icons, I believe. So here in the loading, well, I don't think I used a very detailed icon, or did I? I can't remember, but anyway, GameMaker 8.0 ran a little better than GameMaker 7.0 when I made a build that way. So yeah, this is of course the source code, and I may make a little walkthrough of this some other time just for fun, I don't know. But for now, of course, back on the subject to this. Basically, the original utility had a tiny drop-down menu here. Let's make this full screen. You can actually press Alt-Enter to go full screen, or click on this button up here. But anyway, right here where it says Enable 3D Card, that's a new option I added in place of the drop-down menu. There used to be a drop-down menu with levels. For this one, it's an entirely separate screen to launch missions. So the design of this I kind of had to do myself, because there was nothing to base this on other than a drop-down menu. So we've got the demo animation, and training missions, and we've got the NSDF campaign, the CCA campaign, the Dogs of War campaign from the Red Odyssey, the Black Dog missions, and the Red Storm campaign, which is the Chinese missions of the Red Odyssey. And then of course we've got instant action missions. But you know, when the 1.5 patch came out, it added some new stuff. And of course, at that point, I had to fork the code over to a separate project and make some serious changes. I didn't bother supporting the Red Odyssey in my 1.5 configuration utility here. But as you can see, it's got some new things, such as the buffer 32, which is a 32-bit frame buffer. Let's just say it makes the game look better, and you should always leave it on unless you have a problem. Simple as that. And I don't know why this got turned off. Shouldn't that be on by default? Yeah, I guess it is on by default. I guess I probably have a wrong number in my code somewhere, which makes this go to a, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't even know where my Battlezone is because I cleared everything. Basically, when you download my utility, it should already know where Battlezone is, but if it doesn't, you just want to browse to where your Battlezone is. Mine's on the root of my C drive, mine's not in the default location, but if you install Battlezone in the default location, Program Files, Battlezone, you should have no problem at all. Otherwise, you just select the executable, and it will do a thing. And now it's good to go. Now it's loaded in what I actually have in my render.cfg file. This is actually a checkbox for large assets equals 2, which is a new 1.5 setting. It enables the 16-bit texture pack, which is separate from this checkbox for the actual 16-bit texture support. Again, with texture 16, similar to buffer 32. In fact, even more, you don't want to turn this off. If you do, I think weird things will happen. Just leave it on. Don't turn it off. Trust me. It's awesome. But if you don't want the new 16-bit textures and you want the original large assets, do this. And if you don't want either one, do this. Of course, when you do this, I think it just automatically enables the other one, though I couldn't get it to refresh. But yeah, These are basically very similar things. This is large assets equals 1, this is large assets equals 2, and when they're both off, that's large assets equals 0. So that's the large asset setting for the game textures. You might as well just have them both checked these days, because the screen brightness now works for the new textures. Here we have our max anisotropy, which is the anisotropic filtering feature added in Battlezone 1.5. I believe 16 is the highest. I'm really not sure. You could probably go 32, although maybe there's not much reason for that. I guess Ken Miller himself recommended setting it to 16. And here, of course, we have our anti-aliasing settings. I believe the first setting, multi-sample type, is like 8x or 8 times multi-sample anti-aliasing. I'm not sure what quality does, but the maximum supported for my system is 2. So I've got it set to that. And of course we have window mode, skip intro, enable 3D card, and something else new, raw mouse input. In my opinion, I like Battlezone with mouse acceleration. I do not like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Left 4 Dead 2, or Team Fortress 2 with mouse acceleration. Those are a little bit more like Twitch shooters, and the same applies to like Quake Live. You don't want mouse acceleration, but in Battlezone, I think it really helps because you don't have instantaneous aiming. You're turning a tank, aiming up and down, so the mouse acceleration, at least for me, has been beneficial, so I don't enable this option. But you can turn it on, see whichever one lets you aim better, and, you know, have fun. And if you want to add this to your Battlezone shortcut, the command is /raw input. Which leads me into this next undocumented feature. You can press enter to bring up a box that will let you put in additional command line parameters. So if there's something I didn't put in the GUI, you can do it yourself, and this will be remembered until you quit and restart. It's just temporary kind of thing. Okay, I forgot to mention this. This is an undocumented feature that I meant to show off but ended up forgetting. If you check the map editor checkbox and launch the map, you will still have to press Ctrl-A to actually activate the editor. But you can put /start edit into your command line options. Or there's another way. You can actually hold Control or Shift while pressing the launch button, then let go, and that will also enable Start Edit. So you may use whichever one is more convenient for you. Anyway, back on the subject of the level select. We can launch anything we want. From the demo animation, which I fixed the TRN for so the terrain would actually have textures, to the training missions, which are fun all on their own. They teach you how to play the game. Unfortunately, there's no sniping tutorial in any of these, which is kind of strange. And of course, we've got the NSDF campaign, the CCA campaign. Yeah, we can launch anything we want, and we've got area instant action missions. Now, back on the original, this, as I mentioned before, I think I did anyway, this includes the missions from Red Odyssey as well, so we can start those up too if we want to. And unfortunately, Battlezone 1.4 and Red Odyssey are not patched and are not really officially supported anymore, and they're pretty much unplayable if you have more than 60 FPS. It makes the game turbo fast. So what you might want to do is just install Dxtory and set a 60 FPS frame limit, just a little tidbit. At the moment, at least on my system, it's actually limiting the frame rate of the game, which makes it playable. I'm able to start it up in window mode or full screen mode in my case, because my system, well... Actually, if I start Red Odyssey up in window mode, or not window mode, full screen mode, without choosing a mission, it'll just crash and be like unhandled exception. But I can play these in full screen mode if I want. But, I mean, no one really plays Red Odyssey multiplayer or Battlezone 1.4 multiplayer anymore now that we have Battlezone 1.5 and it runs so much better. But I suppose if you wanted to, you could limit your FPS to 60 and make the game playable again. Although I guess it's kind of too little too late. We didn't know about this back then. I don't know if Dxtory existed back then. But we can also launch instant action missions as well in both of them, which is pretty nice. This one's weird. It starts you as a pilot in midair. But anyway, all the maps are in the list. And these names of these instant action maps are actually read from a file that I created myself for my utility called instant action, or instant_action.txt. It's not very user-friendly. You have the name of the mission, a vertical pipe, the name of the BZN file, a vertical pipe, and then the faction you play as. So if you want the missions to actually have names, you have to do it yourself, and it's a huge pain. It could have been better, I know, but it is what it is, and it does what it was designed to do. I guess I'm saying it is what it is. And of course, another undocumented feature of this is that you can make your own bold heading by putting null in for the BZN name, and I guess question marks for the faction, as we can see here. If we scroll down a bit, I have my own bold heading for Red Wolf campaign, and these are the instant action missions that SS User made, the Red Wolf missions. They're quite fun. Some of them are unbeatable, like a Herculean task as a sniper mission. It's almost unbeatable because of the AI improvements. They'll shoot you down before you even have a chance. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, the bold heading. Unfortunately, everything is sorted in alphabetical order regardless of whether it's bold or not. So if you want them to be grouped together, you have to name them in alphabetical order, because it'll just sort it. Because see, we have R, S, T, U, V, etc. It'll sort them in alphabetical order, so if you want them under a bold heading, you have to give them a similar naming scheme. But it works fine, I guess. Now, missions that are not named will not show up in this section, unfortunately. You'll have to scroll down past the multiplayer strategy maps, and it actually reads your netbus.txt file to get these, so let's take a quick look at that. This file here, my utility will actually read this file to get the names and put them in the list, just so you know. Anyway, we scroll down past that and we reach Deathmatch maps, King of the Hill maps, and then we have extra maps, and you'll see some of these actually have names from netbus.txt. These are actually MPI missions, and unfortunately I have not updated my utility to make any distinction between, well, no specification for MPI maps, so they show up in the extra maps section, which would normally be filled with only the unnamed maps that don't have a name, like you see killpie.bzn, etc., because they don't have names. But yeah, and also one really handy but undocumented feature is that you can press home on your keyboard and it will jump to the top of the list. It will jump to the top of the list, and if you press end, it will jump to the bottom of the list. Now, I was thinking about maybe adding support for you to type a letter, and maybe if you pressed O, it would jump to the, I don't know, Omega Squadron missions or something, but as of right now, I have not done that. I don't know, maybe it's worth it, maybe not. But anyway, I believe this pretty much covers everything. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.